And welcome to the fifth episode of the Sister Knitting Society podcast. I am Grace.
And I am Elizabeth. If it is your first time joining us, welcome. We're excited that you're here. If you are a returning viewer, welcome back. And also, thank you for being here. We're excited you're here too. We have been doing this for over a month now.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. That's what 5 means. How many weeks are in a month? 4.
I know, 5 weeks. So that's kind of fun. Thank you to everybody so far who has shared the podcast, who has subscribed, who comments. We really appreciate it. And we really kind of just do this for ourselves to catch up with each other on our knitting, but it's nice to know that somebody else is enjoying our little rambles as well. So we're glad you're here. Thank you. And I guess we'll jump right in with knitting content.
Yeah. Sounds good. Do you have any finished objects this week? Because I don't.
I picked up the slack for you because I have 2 finished objects this week. I know. I'm an overachiever. It's fine. And of course, if you have been watching the podcast, you have seen these things since episode 1. So it's about time that I finished them. So my first one is this sweater I made for my daughter Elliot. So this is Anker's sweater. Oh, and look, it's wrinkled from being folded. This is Anker's sweater by Petite Knit. I made this in the, I think, 4 to 5-year-old size. And I did lengthen it just a hair because she's really tall. And I made this one out of Cascade 220 Superwash. This is the Tuffet colorway. And I love it. I'm so happy with it. If you haven't watched all the way back to episode 1, I made 3 of these sweaters for my niece and nephews for Christmas. Not Grace's children. She doesn't have any. My niece and nephews on the other side of the family. My husband's brother's children. And the whole goal was I wanted the cousins to all have matching sweaters. And after I made 3 for Christmas, I got really burned out on the pattern. And so it took me a while to make Elliot's, but it's finally done and I'm super happy with it. I feel like I have gotten up, knitting 4 in a row probably helps. So I feel like I've gotten a lot better, a lot more confident at knitting sweaters and the techniques involved. So yeah, I'm really happy with this sweater. It is all blocked and the ends are woven in and ready to wear. So I took a couple pictures of her wearing it before I blocked it. But now that it's blocked, I'll probably see if I can take a few more. There's a snowstorm outside today, so maybe I'll take some in the snow because that would be really cute.
That would be cute. I'm so glad you finished all 4 of them and it's over.
It's over.
The fatigue gets real.
It does. But I'm really happy with it. I think it's a really cute sweater pattern. There is an adult size that she's released. So part of me kind of wants to knit another one. But I've got so many other sweaters, adult size sweaters on my to knit list that's probably going to take a backseat for a while. But I really like it. And now I feel really confident in the pattern. So if it was like a last minute, whip up a baby sweater as a gift to somebody, I feel like I could do it fairly quickly. I think the tiniest one that I made for my smallest nephew, I finished in less than a week. So
wow,
I could pretty easily whip that up. And I put him in the small, well, actually, maybe it was the second size. I think I did 3 to 6 months for him. But he's tiny and he just turned 6 months, I think. Yeah. I'm sorry, Liz, I don't know the age of your children. Okay. Anyway, but yeah, super happy with this one. It's going to go hang up in her closet now that I've shown it on the podcast and I don't have to keep it in my room anymore. So that's my finished object number 1. Yay. And then finished object number 2 are my Gersta socks. So I started these in October of last year. I had 3 pairs of socks on my needles at one time, at one point. And so these kind of took a backseat. But now they are done. These are officially my February socks. So I'm attempting to knit a pair of socks a month this year. And I'm kind of like, I kind of have started them the month before and then I finished them during the month. So it's not like I'm casting on February 1st, but I was able to knit the second one in 2 weeks, which was awesome. I did the foot and the heel 1 week and then the leg the second week. So these ones are done. These were toe up socks. The pattern is by Verena Cohrs and it is from the 52 Weeks of Socks book. And it is the first pattern I've knit out of that book. And I plan on knitting a lot more. It's a really beautiful book. So I knit these in the Backcountry Knitters sock base. It's an 85-15 superwash and nylon. And it's like so soft and squishy and wonderful to work with. And this is in the native Wildflower colorway. So it's like a cream base with like greens and browns and like yellows. There's some like random pops of pinks and like bright oranges in there, and they're really pretty. I'm also really happy with these. I've talked in previous weeks on the podcast about how I wasn't super confident in the heel technique. It was a German short row heel, and it was my first time knitting that heel. I've only ever done like a heel flap and gusset, including on toe up socks. The only toe up socks I've ever knit also had like a gusset and all of that. So it's a new technique. I am not perfect at it. I still feel like I have like some gaps and some holes. So if anyone has, I like the technique. It's just I want to be better at it. So if anyone has German short row heel tips, please share them, because I did really like knitting it, and you can do it on cuff down or toe up socks. So I would like to get better. I like that you don't have to like do all of the decreases on the gusset. That made it feel like it went a lot faster. So yeah, I really like these. I'm happy with them. I really like this yarn. I have a sock set from the Backcountry Knitter, and I'm just kind of waiting for the perfect socks to use it on. But I will definitely be buying more of her yarn because the colors are beautiful and the base is really nice. So there's that. I'm also wearing a finished object this week, but it's an old finished object, but I'll talk about it anyway. So this is my Find Your Fade shawl. And we made these kind of together over the summer.
Yeah.
I love this shawl. It's by Andrew Mowry, and before anybody jumps down my throat, I am aware of the issues surrounding Andrew Mowry. This was knit before I knew of anything, and I have not since purchased anything from her. I'm hoping that things change a little bit, but I also am not in a position to just not wear something that I spent a lot of money and a lot of time making. And I really like the design. I think it's a really nice warm shawl. So it's knit in fingering weight. I used 5 different colors for this one, and it is all Ba yarn La Jolla, except for this gray at the bottom. This is Oink Pigments. And I used one of their like pigtails for this one. And I don't remember all the colorways, but I really like this shawl. And there's a snowstorm outside, so I need to be warm today. So it's a good one to wear on that. So that's all that I finished 2 things this week.
I'm proud of you. That's a lot of finishing objects.
It was. Yeah. I was very excited though.
Yeah.
What are you knitting on, Grace? What are your whips?
I have 2 whips going right now. One is one that I've had going for a couple weeks now, which is my Garnered cardigan by Alicia Plummer. And I've made some decent progress this week. I started down here, was where I started off the week, and now I'm in the middle of a row right now. So holding this up is kind of tricky. But I've made it a good that long. So it's coming along nicely. This is the back of it. And I'm still loving it. We're knitting it in Malabrigo Rios in Indiecita, which I think is how you say this colorway. And I'm still here for it. I like it. I think it's working well with the yarn is working well with the pattern. And it's been a fun knit. I like doing lace work and just kind of watching old episodes of The Real Housewives while I while I knit. I like kind of mindless knits, but not so mindless that it's just stockinette over and over again. So it's a nice rhythm that you get into working this one, especially when it's knit flat. So every other round is just all purls, and that's fun for me. That's one of them. Do you have any? I have two. So do you have any?
You can do both of yours and then I'll go to mine. I only have one, so.
Okay. My other whip is my curling mist socks. I think, yeah, that's what they're called. And these are the first sock of the Handmade Sock Society season 4. I hadn't cast these on for our last episode. I just bought the yarn. And so now they're cast on, and I'm a little bit of a ways through the leg. We're knitting them cuff down with Hazel knits Entice in the Frost colorway, which is merino, cashmere, and nylon. And I love how these little tiny cables are being like curling mist. It fits the pattern name quite well. My stitch marker is from the lovely Cinnamon and Spice shop on Etsy, which is you.
That's me.
And I'm using these Addy Rocket Turbo needles, and I'm magic looping, obviously. And these are the nicest needles in the entire world. I'm obsessed with them, but they were like $15, and I didn't realize that when I bought them. So I was already at the counter, and then I was like, well, I can't turn back now. That would be embarrassing. Not really, but I want to try them anyway, because how good could $15 needles be? You have to like find out for yourself. Turns out they're excellent. There's like no issues going over the cord onto the needle, which is always the part that drives me crazy, especially with Magic Loop, because it takes so long just to wind your cable all that way. And then you have this problem. They're wonderful needles to work with. They're so smooth. And with this like very nice yarn too, this is a luxury knitting experience. So yeah, I'm loving these little guys. I was planning to work them faster and try to do it so that I was going to be like one sock every 2 weeks so that I could keep up with the Handmade Sock Society pattern releases, but I don't think I'm going to do that anymore, because maybe I'll try to do one sock a month and then it'll just take me double time.
They're so beautiful.
Yeah. So I'm loving them.
I love that pattern.
Me too. You got to start doing this. It's so fun.
I do. I really do need to. I actually I bought some yarn this week. I don't have it in hand yet, so I don't have it for our acquisition section, but I'm like torn between that and like one other pattern that I think would be gorgeous in it, but I'll talk about that later. Yeah, so I only have one whip right now, which is very strange for me. Usually, well, technically I guess I have 3 because I have my like long-term ones still going, but I don't really count those. So right now I'm only knitting on my CQ sweater, which is again my test knit for Alicia Plummer. If you've been around, you know that I'm working on this. I'm loving it so much. I cannot wait to wear it. I have not actually tried it on yet, but I've kind of held it up while knitting, and I adore it. It's so
I see
pretty.
why.
So like the kind of breaks with the main color between the colorwork sections are like just enough, because by the time you get bored of doing like stockinette with the same color, it's finally time to switch it up. I have decided if you've never done colorwork, this would be a really easy introduction to it. Like there's 5 colors, so it seems like a lot, but you're never actually working with more than one color on a row. So the rows that have both colors are done using slip stitches. So you don't actually, I'm gonna like get really close to the camera. So like these rows, like it's a slip stitch in between. So you're not actually using 2 colors at the same time. So if you've never done colorwork before,
yeah, like watch out for this pattern because it's really beautiful. And I think like if you're familiar with sweater construction, then you can do this. The color work is not hard. So anyway, we're supposed to go I think 9 inches below the underarm. I think I'm at about 6.5 or 7. So once I get to 9 inches, I'm going to try it on. I'm sure that I'm going to want to lengthen it a little bit because I have a chest that makes that would make that very, very cropped. So I'll probably lengthen it a little bit, just so it's a length that I'll actually want to wear. And then I am doing, she has a short sleeve and a long sleeve option. So I'm going to do the long sleeve option. And yeah, I'm really excited about it. So I'm getting ready to start another row of the little dots down here, and I'm very excited about it. And like you said, it's mindless, but it's not too mindless. So you're definitely not getting bored with just stockinette in the round, but you can also like watch something while you're knitting it. So like last night I was watching Dirty Dancing while making the sweater. So it's fun.
I love it. The colors you picked are just too good.
I'm very pleased with them. I'm very pleased with how this is turning out. So hey, that's my CQ sweater, and hopefully I will have even more of it done for next week to show you, because it's a fun. Anyway, so that's that. And then and yeah, this is very strange for me. I don't have more than one whip. So I did get another test knit. I think I'm addicted to test knitting.
I think that is an accurate statement for you.
I don't know why. I think maybe it's because I really enjoy editing, like as a profession. I have an English degree, and one of my favorite classes was my copy editing class. And so I think maybe I enjoy that part of test knitting. I also think it's kind of fun to have a deadline because it keeps you excited. I also kind of like feeling like you're one of the first people to do something. I don't know.
It's a combination of wonderful things.
So, but I have not purchased the yarn yet for my next test knit. It's a pair of socks for Lindsay Fowler of Larkspur Knits, which we've also fangirled over on this podcast. And I'm really, really excited about them. They're colorwork socks, which I've never done. And they're DK sock too. So hopefully they'll work up kind of quickly. I'm going to be knitting them in my size, so the adult small, but I also plan on making them in the child small for Elliot and then the adult large for Trevor. Like I'm going to do a matching set for the whole family. So I still need to buy the yarn for that.
So I'm going to use Knit Picks yarn for that just because I am apparently going to be making so many pairs. And I'm excited about that. So I should hopefully have that yarn ready for acquisitions next week. If not, I've cast those on by next week. So fingers crossed that everything gets here. And I also put up a little poll on my Instagram the other day because I wanted to have something like smallish to, take with me when I need to go places, because knitting a sweater on the go isn't always convenient. So I put up a little poll to see if I should cast on a hat or a cowl next. And I think it's like within 2 votes of each other. But I think hat is winning out. I know.
I picked cowl, I think.
Well, so it looks like my next cast on will be the I think it's Pappas hat.
Yeah,
which is, I've talked about it before on the podcast, I think, because I had bought the yarn for it. So I think that'll be my next cast on. I was planning on doing that yesterday, and then I was so tired when we got home. We had dinner with our parents for Valentine's Day. And I was so tired when we got home that I just literally went straight to bed. So I did not cast that on last night. So that's my plan since I only have one whip right now.
good.
But Grace, you have some acquisitions this week.
I have a lot of acquisitions this week. So the Yarn Club, which is the LYS in Virginia Beach, did a sale for Super Bowl Sunday for the Super Bowl of knitting. And there were just some really nice yarns on sale, so I had to hit it up. So I got many a yarn. We will start. I got 2 Autumn and Indigo sock yarns. I got a lot of sock yarn because I'm planning these handmade sock societies, and I don't have a yarn stash really of high quality tonal sock yarn. I really only have like self-striping because I think those are fun to do in general, and then also they can make really good gifts where you can just make a vanilla sock and it'll look cool because it's self-striping. So I wanted to get some nice basic tonals. So the first one I got is the Autumn and Indigo Classic Sock in Lila colorway. It is a 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon blend. And it's a nice light fingering, and I don't know if it'll come up perfectly, but it's a really, really dull lavender, not dull like ugly, but light lavender, which is my favorite color. So I had to get that, obviously. I also got the same sock style, the classic sock, in the Hudson colorway, and it's not totally a tonal. It's got some speckled bits of darker blue in here, but the rest of it's this light blue to kind of creamy color. And that's gonna be a fun one too. I like this. I like how that turned out on your Gersta socks, where it had just those little bits of color, and I think it'll look pretty when it spits out like that. So there's another one. I also got this Sweet Georgia Tough Love sock yarn in the candy apple colorway, and the color is exactly what it sounds like. It's like candy apple red, and this is 80/20 merino nylon. And I thought this would be a fun, like, even if I didn't make this for me, it would be a good colorway for gifts. So if this ends up being like a cowl or a shawl or socks for somebody else, I like that. This was a fun one. I also got some monocell Uruguay I always forget how to say it. Alegria, I think is the pronunciation for this base. It's a this is the celery colorway, and this one is 75/25 superwash merino and nylon. Pretty greens are great for redheads, so had to get that. And it's so soft and squishy. That's also the colorway or the yarn base that I got for the socks that Elliot wants, the yarn that she picked out, the rainbow one. So only 2 more colors. The next one is 3 Irish Girls Adorn Luxe. This is a sock weight as well. This is 85% merino, 15% nylon. And this is like super rainbowy, and it comes up kind of darker. There's some like bright blues and pinks and yellows. And then it does have some like grayish sort of colorways too. This is the Mr. Snow colorway, which was pretty in the first place. And then I saw the name and I was like, well, might as well pop that in there as well.
Add to cart.
And then the last one I got, yeah, this was definitely like 11 o'clock at night, sees yarn sale and just like binges. This is a lot. But I don't have a stash, so I'm building up the stash. And you told me that it's a feminist movement to have a yarn stash, so I am taking you up on that. The last thing I got is this Big Bad Wool Weepaca. It is 50% fine washable merino and 50% baby alpaca. And it's super soft and squishy. This is a worsted weight, and I'm going to use it. I bought it in shawl quantity or sweater quantity, honestly, but it's for a shawl. I'm making Melody Hoffman's Moonlight Garden with it. Who knows when I'll cast it on? It might be 3 years from now, but I bought the yarn for it. And it is the lilac colorway, so in keeping with my favorite color here. And it's going to be a beautiful shawl. I'm very excited for it. And I'm so glad it's going to be purple. I also purchased my ball winder in Swift 2 days ago. It's just not here yet. So that'll be an acquisition next week.
That's exciting.
And now I'm done for a while. There's no way I can buy more yarn at this pace. There's a lot last week and a ton this week. But
it'll be my turn next week because I did buy yarn this week. It's just not here yet. But I'll wait till it comes to talk about it because I have plans. I'm very excited.
Good deal.
for all of that. Yeah, it was one of those situations where I was like, ooh, I'm laying in bed on payday. So
It's fun to do.
So yeah, yay, acquisitions. Cool. I think that does it for our knitting content. Well, most of our knitting content. We still have our shout outs to do. Okay, well, I'll do my knitting related shout out first. So,
Okay.
So this week I was following, I believe her name is Gwen. I'm sorry if I'm wrong, of Bella Filato Studio, and I could be saying the second part of that wrong, and I apologize if I am. But I was following her because the test knit I'm doing for Lindsay Fowler used her yarn, and so I was, thinking that I might use her yarn for my test. And she had a shop update in this last week, and the big the star of her update was this really cool cupcake tweed that had rainbow tweed instead of just your regular neutral shade of tweed, right? It was so cool. And people went crazy for this yarn, which who wouldn't? It's cupcake tweed. Come on. And it was really, really cool. And I wasn't planning on getting it because that's not what I was going to use for the socks. But that was the star of her update, right? And so she'd even said in one of her stories that more people had turned on the reminder for her shop update countdown than ever had before. She was so excited. And 2 minutes before the shop update dropped, her website crashed. The whole server crashed. And first of all, no one wants that to happen, right? She said they were on the phone with customer service and they literally said it was because too many people were on the website and it crashed the server. So yay, people want to buy from her, but also the server crashed. And so a lot of people were really nice and were like, we can be patient. It's just yarn. It's really cool yarn, but it's just yarn. But other people started sending her hate messages for something that's way far beyond her control. Which, first of all, if you're that person who's sending hate messages to somebody over something out of their control, please turn off our podcast right now. Bye. So this is just a general reminder. First of all, she handled it like a champ. She was immediately on the phone with customer service, rescheduled the shop update for the next day. It's still at her website still wasn't working right the next day. So she did her whole drop on Etsy. She was flexible. She made it happen. People got the yarn they wanted. She even opened up pre-orders for people who couldn't get the one they wanted. She did great. And it was awesome. And I'm so happy that her update was so successful. But this is just a reminder to be kind to people. It's yarn. We love it. We're mildly obsessed with it, but it's just yarn. It's not the end of the world if you didn't get it. So please be nice to small business owners, especially people who are literally one-woman shops. Be kind. Also, if you can get your hands on cupcake tweed, you should do it because it's amazing. So shout out to
Thinking about
Gwen of Bella Filato Studio. So follow her, check out her next update. She's moving servers, so hopefully it won't crash next time. That's my knitting related shout out.
Good one. My knitting related shout out is less serious than that.
It can't be all be serious.
I started following James Watts on Instagram probably close to the beginning of when I started knitting, just because there's nothing bad about them. Nothing. They're funny. They're silly. They're serious. They're cool. We're not the coolest people. We don't fall under the category of cool. I love following people who fall under the cool category. And James Watts is very cool. So they started doing a couple weeks ago this sexy poses for fat B words. And I got such a kick out of it. It made me laugh. It made me smile. It warmed my heart. And so they're originally TikToks, I think, but they post them as reels on their page. So I don't have TikTok, and I'm not. Again, don't fall under the cool category, so we can't do that. So yeah, pattern designer, love the patterns, love the modeling. And then James went swimming this week. I'm pretty sure they live in Florida. I'm not 100% sure about that. Now I'm pretty sure though, because when they were swimming this week, they saw a manatee and they had the phone under the water with them. Yeah. And they're doing the poses and swimming and being effortless and just generally cool. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh my gosh, I just guess who joined me on my swim today? And they turn around the camera and there's a manatee like 3 feet away. And it was like the water was this like green, it wasn't like you were in a fancy resort and all the water was clear and blue and beautiful. It's like this green water on the screen. It was the most soothing thing I've ever seen in a long time. Just watching James swimming and this manatee right there, I was like, I don't know why, but I needed that this week. So I was very grateful that was on their story and made my day. Really did.
That's amazing.
Also, if I was in the water and saw a manatee, I would have peed my pants and like cried. I would have gotten out of that water stat.
I mean, I love manatees.
Brendan also showed me this week a video of Naomi Osaka at the Australian Open, which is on right now. And a butterfly like lands on her leg and she just like gracefully picks it up like a Disney princess and like holds it on her finger. And then she walks over and like lets it live free. And then the butterfly comes back and it lands on her face. And what would happen to you if a butterfly landed on your face? Because I would be like, what did she do? She like let it sit there and then like didn't do anything. Like she was such a Disney princess about it. So
she is a Disney princess.
Between her being a beauty when a butterfly landed on her and then James N Watts seeing a manatee, like that's like some good animal content this week. Way to go, social media.
Elliot and I have been watching some different Disney movies lately. And yesterday for Valentine's Day, I put on the Aristocats. Like they had a like a Valentine's collection, and I figured the Aristocats was probably a safer bet than Up for my own mental health. And now she started asking like who the bad guy is in each movie. And of course in the Aristocats it's the butler. And she was like, well, why is he the bad guy? And we like, we're trying to like have a conversation. And somehow it turned out that he was the bad guy because he didn't like animals. And now every time there's a bad guy, she's like, do they not like animals? I'm like, you know what? Most bad guys probably don't like animals. And that's maybe one of the ways you can tell that they're bad.
So, not James N Watts, not Naomi Osaka.
No. So anyway, that was fun.
It is good.
Yeah. And then the Rescuers came on after that. And I was like, I don't think I ever actually watched the original Rescuers. I think we only ever watched the Rescuers Down Under. So that was an experience.
I think you're right.
I never actually finished watching it. We ended up leaving. But anyway, that was fun. Anyway, non-knitting related shout outs.
Yeah. Shall I go first?
You should.
So last night was Valentine's. Well, all of yesterday was Valentine's Day. Last night, Brandon and I had our very romantic dinner of leftovers. And we went out on Saturday and then we had leftovers for dinner on Sunday. So our proper Valentine's Day dinner was on the 13th, not the 14th. We were eating our leftovers and we have just finished a couple shows on Netflix. Okay, so I'm not super into finding new shows on Netflix. It doesn't warm my cup of tea. It's just not it for me. So I want something that's brainless, and Brandon doesn't really like watching the Great British Bake Off. So I need to find something else to just put on in the background. So last night we stumbled upon Nadiya Bakes, and it's Nadiya Hussein who actually won, spoiler alert, one of the seasons of the Great British Bake Off, which actually was a spoiler for me because I haven't made it that far in the Great British Bake Off yet. So that's okay. Whatever. Anyway, if you haven't seen her on the Great British Bake Off like me, she's so delightful. She's so fun. And her baking show is so cute. And it made our day. It's funny that he won't watch Bake Off. Like, can't get through an episode. He doesn't think he's ever actually seen one whole episode straight through, but he can watch one of the winners of the Bake Off. The show itself is very similar to Salt, Fat, Acid, Heat, which we really liked. In that she's just a very good host, and she's very natural and welcoming and homey in front of the camera, and we really liked it. So Nadiya Bakes on Netflix, go watch it. We haven't finished it yet, obviously, but the first couple episodes were delightful.
I love that. My non-knitting related shout out this week is also a thing that like randomly brought me a lot of joy. So I spent approximately all day on Saturday working in our new studio space. So I think I've mentioned before, I'm a dance teacher. I'm opening a new studio, and we spent all day Saturday like cleaning and like tearing down walls and priming and like just generally starting all of the prep work to make the studio space a studio, because it's been a restaurant since like the 1930s. And it's a very old building. Yeah, it's over 200 years old. It's like a pre-Civil War building. It's old.
I had no idea.
Yeah. It's the oldest commercial building in the town that we are in, which is amazing. So we were in there getting things ready, and I got to pick the playlist, and I really wanted something brainless. I didn't want to have to like search for something or be constantly changing it. And so Spotify had like a pre-curated playlist called Cleaning Kit. And I have never loved a playlist more. So it had like Elvis, it had Dolly Parton, it had the Beatles, it also had Britney Spears. It also had like songs that I had forgotten about from like the early 2000s. And I was like, half the time things came on and I was like, I forgot about this song. And then I like knew every word, and I was like singing Avril Lavigne's Girlfriend at the top of my lungs while I was priming. It was so good. So anyway, Cleaning Kit on Spotify is my new favorite playlist for basically anything, like not just cleaning. It was so fun. I loved it.
Yay.
So that's my non-knitting related shout out. Way to go, Spotify, on that one. Whoever was in charge of that, A+.
Indeed.
Shall
we
we
go to yes.
Do you want to intro it?
Sure. This week, in honor of Black History Month, which is February, obviously, we are doing our top 3 Black-owned brands, or businesses, whatever you want to call it. There are many that I know and love, and I'm sure it's the same for you. So narrowing down to 3 was a tricky task, but I'm glad we'll be able to spotlight some strong Black voices in here and respect the fact that they have historically not been treated the way they should, and they have not been given any kind of head start in making their businesses and making them as successful and wonderful as they are. And I'm really glad that they're around to bless the world with all of their goodness. So we'll kick off. Top 3 Black-owned brands. Shall I go first, or would you like to?
You can go first.
Okay. It's a top 3, but they're not like number 1 is my favorite ever Black-owned brand. So it's just 3 that we love. So in no particular order, my top 3 are, let's see, where's that? Yep. Brio Geo hair care. I've been using their deep conditioner for years now, and I love it, and it smells wonderful. And I also love, this is their Farewell Frizz. It's like a leave-in conditioner, and it works wonderfully. There's always 100% humidity in DC once like May starts. So it's a complete necessity. all of her products smell wonderful, and yeah, just good brand. If you want good hair care, clean hair care, it's all kinds of free things, no parabens and other stuff that is supposedly bad for you. So healthy hair care. That's my number 3. Another one is Romy Studio. I am a big earring fan, so anyone who makes wonderful earrings is always going to be on the top 3 list of mine if it has to do with any kind of businesses I love. So Romy Studio is local to DC, and she actually recently just got this partnership with Madewell as kind of a spotlight maker. These are a pair of earrings from her. They are these cute little daisy flowers. I wear them all the time. These ones are just a nice basic color. I have another pair in the same shape that is like it's got kind of other colors speckled throughout it, but this one caught my eye and it goes with everything. Dresses, nice tops, date night, girl tonight, all the time. And then I love earrings, so that's a good one for me. And then my number 1 is Ivy's Tea Company. I am a big tea drinker, and Ivy's Tea Company has all herbal teas and herbal infusions. I had to make notes on this one because Ivy's Tea Company is amazing. The woman who runs this business is named Shanae. The Ivy's name goes after her grandma. She is an herbalist. She's also local to the DC area because gotta represent local. This is her blood orange tea, which I am actually drinking today. I have another one from her called Blow, which is really delicious. All of her teas are inspired by hip hop culture, so all the names and like item descriptions are going to be relevant to hip hop culture. Yeah, absolutely love the teas. They're made really well, and they're all loose leaf teas, which is my favorite. I don't really like teas in bags. She also makes infused honeys, which I just ordered my first of her honeys. I got Crime, which is a vanilla infused honey. Yeah, it's gonna be tasty. She also makes teacups and saucers, and those are her trap tea or trap china collection. And so they'll say things on the inside of the china teacup and stuff like that. And she does the same with spoons too. Those are hard to get though. Like you got to be ready when the launch happens. It's like when the woman who did your shout out for knitting related, like you got to be on the game with that one. So yeah, really love her stuff, and it's always nice to drink more tea. Always more tea. So what are yours?
Okay, so my top 3 again are like not really in a particular order because and I tried to pick like 3 very different, like I don't know, not like genres is the wrong word, but types of businesses. And I also tried to do local where I could. So again, these aren't really in a 3, 2, 1 order because they're all amazing. But what I put in my like quote number 3 spot is it's called Gordon's Milkshake Bar. And this is an Indianapolis milkshake bar on Mass Ave in Indy. And oh my gosh, they're so good. Like the flavor combinations are amazing. Like you have to look them up on Instagram. I think they're like Milkshake Indy on Instagram. And oh my gosh, like think like what is the one? Isn't there like there's like a famous one in New York City that does like the giant milkshakes? Like can rival
Right.
that. Is it like it's not the Milk Bar because that's the cake people. I don't know.
No. Yeah.
But they're so good. And I've been down near Mass Ave a lot more recently. So I love them. Like I am not really a huge milkshake fan, but I am for these. They're so good. So check them out if you're local to Indy, or when you come home and visit Indy, we can go. So good.
I definitely want to go.
Yeah, amazing. So then my number 2, again, completely different, is La Francis Homemade Yarns. She's also indie, and I couldn't not highlight a black indie dyer for our Black History Month on a knitting podcast. So her yarns are incredible. I should have grabbed one. I discovered her fairly recently and then realized she was an indie, and I was like, what? So her yarns are beautiful. She's got one colorway that I really want to get my hands on called Please Carry My Bagels.
I love that one.
I love that one so much. I have a skein of one of hers in like it's called Neapolitan, the colorway. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It's like Neapolitan ice cream. And I think I'm gonna make Jessie May's ripple bralette in it. And I'm so excited.
Oh my god. It's gonna be so cute.
So that's like hopefully like my summer project is going to be a ruffle bralette and La Francis homemade yarns. But also like when you order from her, you get like a sticker that's her dancing with a skein of yarn, and she like her thing is like she does a happy dance every time you order, and it's so fun. So I love her stuff.
I love watching her stories because she really does do a happy dance for all of her customers. Like she'll dance while she's wrapping your order and she'll put it on her Instagram story. That's so commitment.
Fun. It is. And as a dancer, I appreciate that. So La Francis homemade yarns, so good. Beautiful colors. Like I just love them. So that's my, I guess, number 2. And number 1, I feel like I'm kind of cheating on my number 1 because it's not like something you can go buy technically. But my number 1 Black owned business, I guess, organization is the Dance Theater of Harlem. So as a dancer, like there's been historically a huge lack of dancers of color, and that it's really upsetting to me because I work, with young dancers, so kids who they might go on to be professionals and they might not, and that's okay. But when you look at the traditional like ballet company or dance company, you see a bunch of white people, and I think that makes it hard for young kids of color to look at that and say, I can do that too, right? Like representation really matters. So Dance Theater of Harlem was one of the first, if not the first, company to feature only Black dancers. And their work has always just been so fascinating to follow. But really the reason that they're number 1 on my list right now is because their artistic director is a Black woman. And artistic directors in dance companies are like so stupidly overwhelmingly male. Like for the number of female dancers versus male dancers, it makes no sense, right? So the fact that Dance Theater of Harlem's artistic director is also a woman is incredible. So her name is Virginia Johnson. Yes. She is also a founding member of Dance Theater of Harlem. She's a principal dancer for them. She also did a stint as like the editor-in-chief of Point magazine. Like she's had an incredible career on her own. But now she serves as their artistic director, which I think is amazing. And so if you don't already follow them, they've been doing a lot of really like innovative, cool stuff during COVID and lockdown. They recently were able to do like a bubble residency where their dancers were all able to dance together in person again, which is a dream. So technically not a business, but you can still buy tickets to their online events. You can still make donations and support them and support the work that they're doing. And so Dance Theater of Harlem is a big one.
Good one.
So I feel like I'm kind of cheating, but also I think it's important. So I'm okay.
It is. I agree.
So those are my top 3, and not really any
good ones. Yeah. Well, that was fun.
That was fun.
I think that's all we have today.
That is all we have today. Cool. So we'll see everybody next week. Hopefully I'll have a new cast on or 2 to show everyone. And that's it. So
all right.
Have a good week.
Thanks for watching.
Don't forget to subscribe.
Watched all the way to the end. I like it.
Yeah. Thank you for watching to the end. Subscribe, like, comment, all of those things. Thank you for being here. We'll see you next time.
Yay.